Hey everyone, and welcome to Unboxed. I'm so glad that you're with us. So, we want to talk about the pseudo leader with the pseudo self identity. As leaders as well as human beings, we have two parts, what I like to call two parts of our identity: the real us and the pseudo, or the kind of like the false us, the pseudo us. And I got some of this from Freud when he talks about the pseudo self, etc. And I want to kind of dig into that. We call the other side, the pseudo side of us, kind of like the fake us, the false us, the unreal us. And unfortunately, as leaders, if you don't show up authentic and who you really are, you're going to get exposed. So stick around as we unbox the pseudo self so that we can get to the real self. You don't want to miss it. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach. And welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. All right, listen, thank you for staying with us. I want to ask you to like, subscribe, and share. Yes, like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so we're talking about the pseudo self, and we also want to take an opportunity to talk about the real me, the me that makes me me, the real me, because the pseudo self is the part of us that is not real. What I mean is that it is not who we really are. It's who we are choosing or pretending to be for one of three reasons. And I'll be honest with you, some of us have pretended for so long to be something else that the real us doesn't even know how to show up. We have been the pseudo self, the false self for so long that we really don't know who we really are. And again, that's where our ultimate goal over this journey in the month of July is to get us where we can really identify who the real we are. Can the real person stand up? All right. So the pseudo self has a way of showing up, and it does so for three reasons. The pseudo self is who we are in a particular relationship. Who we are in a particular relationship. In other words, it's the relationship, not our guiding principles, that control our identity. The pseudo self is who we are in an environment, a particular environment, or in a particular organization. In other words, the organization, not our guiding principles, control our identity and control our behavior. The third thing is, it is the pseudo self is who we are in our family system. And I saved the family system for last, and this is different than just relationships. Because again, family's right on our emotional computers. I mean, boy, it really digs into our emotional computers. And so the pseudo self is who we are in our family system. Our family system, not our guiding principles, control our identity and behavior. And what we want as leaders is to make sure that it is not relationships, that we're not transactional in how we do things. We're not situational in how we do things. We're not controlled by our past or by the emotional software that was placed onto our minds, our psyche, if you will. But rather that we have identified the authentic core of who we want to be, and we continue to push that. So we want to be our real self, which is non-negotiable, our real self, which is authentic and genuine, our real self, because the pseudo self is negotiable. It is negotiable in a relationship situation. It is negotiable in a particular environment or a particular organization. It is negotiable in the family system. That's so it can change up. And I'm going to talk about how that change looks over the next couple of days. I'm really going to talk about how that change looks over the next couple of days. But what it really means is that a person will disavow or discard a belief or principle in face of emotional pressure to do so. That's the pseudo self. The pseudo self will discard one thing the pseudo self will do. And I'm going to give you a few more over the next days, but I want to talk about this one. The pseudo self will discard or will change their belief or principle or disavow their belief or principle in the face of emotional pressure to do so. Let me give you a classic example. All right. A father allows his son to drive his car. And the father has a very simple guiding principle. And that principle that the father lives by is that whenever you borrow something from someone, you should take care of it and you should return it back to them in the same condition that they gave it to you in, if not better. That is a principle that the father lives by. Whenever somebody loans him something, whenever he's using somebody's stuff, he always takes care of it and is very conscientious about that. That's who he really is. And when he loans somebody something and they do not take care of his property, then he says he's not going to loan it to them again. That is the boundaries that he's established. That is the guiding principle that he wants to live on. Now, that would be the real self if he could play it out. But let me tell you what happens in a lot of families and what happened in a particular situation that I'm aware of. That is, the father loaned his car to his son. The son took the car, did not clean it, didn't put gas in it, kind of, more or less treated like you treat rental cars, dogged it out, and then returned it. The father said, you know what? I'm going to live by my guiding principle. But the mother, of course, mamas love their sons. The mother is like, you're being too harsh. That's too rigid. You need to be understanding and all this other stuff, and put an awful lot of pressure on the father. And so what did the father do? The father buckled, allowed the son to continue driving the car. And by the way, this is not my family. My son doesn't have his driver's license yet. So when he's in the car, I'm in the car with him. So I know he's taking care of my car right now. I'll come back and do this same show next year and see if I'm saying the same thing. But right now, he's done a good job. Proud of my boy. But so the father then, because the mother is like, that's not fair. You're putting a lot of pressure. You do the most, whatever she needed to put on to him to pressure him. And what did the father do? The father went ahead and bowed to the pressure. So instead of following through on insisting that his son return the car and not use it again, he explained the reason that he changed was because of the pressure that he received from his wife, and he didn't want to alienate his son. He just didn't want to deal with that whole, all of that. So it was just easy to let the boy have a car. It ain't going to kill me. I just don't feel like being bothered with all that. And so that is the pseudo self. And a lot of leaders make that compromise. You know what? I need to keep this job. You know what? I need to keep this person on my payroll or part of the team, and so I'm going to make a few little adjustment to core values and core principles. And when we do that, and sometimes we do it so quickly and so subconsciously, we don't even realize what we're doing. But when we do that, that's not really us. That's not the real us. It is the pseudo us that's standing forward. And I heard something today that I'm going to share with y'all another time, but that really emphasizes the point that people really appreciate principled, authentic people. People really appreciate principled, authentic people. That's one of the reasons, that's one of the things I've been sharing with you about situational leadership, is that we have come to this place where situational leadership means that based on the situation, I change to adapt to whatever needs to be. And I'm not saying that situational leadership is bad. But what I'm saying is, before you can really be a great or even a good situational leader, you have to first be an authentic leader. Because while you may need to change the strategies and the techniques that you use to accomplish certain things, depending on the situation, you cannot change the core of who you are based on family relationships, or based on the environment or organization, or based on the relationship that you're in. You don't want to be a drifting. And that's where a lot of people experience so much anxiety and tension and stress, because they haven't really become authentic. So I've told you some of the things that you can identify, or at least one of the things you can identify that talks about the pseudo self. And I'm going to give you some more. And then our main thing we want to get to is, how do I become the genuine, authentic leader that I know that I'm called to be? We're going to unbox that together. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you the next time.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.